going to bring us in this way. This session will be a little bit different from what we normally do because she's going to bring us some practices on breathwork that are so energizing, restoring, rebalancing, a lot of things that we are going to learn today and practice. And as this session is recorded, we have a replay here on this page. So you can visit this session every time you want to, when you feel the need to be consciously breathing. So, Goedele, welcome. It's amazing to have you here.
Hello, Helena. Thank you for having me tonight. It's a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. We know each other for a very long time. We both work with women. We both use breathwork in our practice for ourselves and for our clients. But what you do goes a lot deeper than the traditional breathwork that a lot of people already know, like the restorative breathwork, the box breathing, things like that. So tell me a little bit more about what you do and why you do it.
I actually started being interested in the breath in 2008. I was sent to India for a article that I had to write for the magazine I was working for. I was a journalist at the time, and I was not in a good place. I was very stressed. I was exhausted, under a lot of pressure.
Mhm,
And in that place, in that ashram where I was sent to, they taught me how to breathe properly. I learned there how to meditate. I came in contact with yoga, all these things, but the breath made like a big impact on me because I realized that the way how I was breathing was really influencing how I was perceiving my circumstances.
mhm,
So there was somebody who told me later on that the breath is the remote control of the nervous system. And
mhm.
that's really what I experienced there. And
Yeah.
then when I started to dive deeper into yoga and meditation, obviously I learned all the techniques that you were talking about earlier. And then through my husband, who actually tried it first, I came in contact with transformational breathwork. And transformational breathwork, it's a completely other mm, perspective on breath. Basically, it helps you to dive deep in your subconscious and change things there. And I am a strong believer in first learn how to breathe properly during the day, and then combining that actually with transformational breathwork is just, yeah, it brings everything to a whole other level in your life.
It's incredible. I think if you do not know transformational breathwork, it's very difficult to understand or to see how powerful it is. And I
Yeah.
believe even if we're talking about the normal breathwork that we hope and that you and me that we are contributing to bring that into the world for more people is already so energizing and restoring and
Yes.
balancing. And as you
Absolutely.
say, we are not aware about how we are breathing, although how many times do we breathe per day?
It's
It's
25,000, between 17,000
25,000.
and 25,000 times a day. Yes.
Yeah.
And most of the
So
time
I
unconsciously. Yeah.
exactly. And I guess if we are not practicing intensely to breathe properly, so we can really embody that and not even have to think about how to breathe properly, if we already can start with that, it's a big step in terms of how
Yes.
we influence, like you say, our perception, but our performance in general.
Yes,
Also our
absolutely.
interactions with other people, because it is defining the energy in ourselves, but also in our connections and in our
Yes.
relationship with the world in general.
Mhm.
I'm really thrilled that you are bringing some of these practices here on the
Mhm.
LinkedIn Live for Women Leaders so that we can be a lot more conscious about breath work and why we should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Transformational breath work. What happens when you do it? It's actually a conscious connective breathing technique. So what you do
Mhm.
is you inhale, you exhale, but there is no pause in between the inhale and the exhale. And so you're taking in 2 to 3 times more oxygen than usual. So you
Mhm.
move a lot of energy in the body. And when
Mhm.
energy in the body is moved, things start to move also on other levels, on a mental level, on an emotional level. We were talking about it before the session started, how you can actually compare the body with a bottle of sparkling water. And so all the bubbles in the water are our emotions that are stuck, the trauma that we had from previous generations, from childhood, all the programs that we have, the limiting beliefs. You can imagine these are the bubbles. When you tap on the bottle with your finger or you shake it a little bit, what happens? All the bubbles go to the surface. And that's what happens when you do this transformational breath work. So all these bubbles go to the surface to be felt, to be transformed, and to be resolved. And a lot of people after a transformational breathwork session, they say, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter." And it's because all these bioenergetic blocks that we have in the body, they are released and you feel lighter. All the tension is gone. And it's very interesting because I had in my one-on-one sessions, I had two people who actually, for the first part of the breath journey, had a lot of difficulties with breathing because a lot of people have difficulties with breathing in general. It's the diaphragm is not flexible; they're not used to breathe properly, so it's an exercise. It can be
Mhm.
very energy consuming. But then we go through this somatic release experience, and then after that, everything goes open, and you feel lighter, and you can breathe better. And for so many people, that's like a revelation. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that breathing could feel like this with this
Mhm.
expansion and this openness.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You do these sessions very regularly, I think on a monthly basis. Just for the people that are tuning in right now, there will be in the comment section of this page, there will be some links. So if you want to find out more about this transformational breathing, or if you want to experience one, and I can say it is absolutely something that I recommend, then you will find the links to do absolutely. So, Hule, before we go to the transformational thing, the point is to breathe properly in general, like you say,
Yes.
during the day. How can we do that? How can we know and understand if we are breathing properly? How can we control ourselves in that area? How can we connect with our breaths? Can you give us some tips or practices about that?
Yeah. Maybe first saying what it is to breathe properly, right?
Mhm.
Because then you also know when you're not doing it properly. So when you look at a baby, how a baby is sleeping, that when a baby inhales, the belly goes up, and when it exhales, the belly goes down. And so this is the natural way of breathing. We breathe deep in the belly, we breathe long breaths, we breathe slow breaths. And in daily life, we do the complete opposite.
Mhm.
They talk about it's a epidemic. I don't know the word in English for that, like an epidemic, right? Yes, an
Mhm.
epidemic. Sorry, an
Okay.
epidemic of chronic overbreathing. And so a lot of people are breathing very high in the chest. They are breathing very fast and they're breathing through the mouth instead of through the nose. So what you do when you breathe like that, you um, activate your sympathetic nervous system. And so you're constantly in a state of fight or flight. Even when there is nothing to worry about, you just constantly feel like there is this fear, anxiety, this tension. And when you would regulate your breath, when you would do the LSD breathing, the long and low, slow and deep breathing, then you would feel much more relaxed, much more
Mhm.
calm, also much more focused, much more present. And so that's a big problem. A lot of people just breathe through the mouth very fast and high up in the chest. And fact that we walk around on very high heels, we have very tight clothes, we just don't allow sometimes the body to breathe in a natural way.
Mhm.
A lot of women also they try to tuck their stomach in, and
Yes,
so you
absolutely.
absolutely cannot breathe properly when you do that. Yeah, so it's and how do you become conscious? Because as you said, it's like we do it like 25,000 times a day. How do we know? You feel it when you are fatigued, anxious the whole time without a reason, you're snoring, you feel like during the day, you sometimes really feel like I have to sigh, or I'm yawning the whole time, or you feel like sometimes you really need to take a deep breath in and out. Something is a little bit off. And it's to create the consciousness around how you're breathing is by in the morning, for example, take 5 minutes to do a breathing exercise.
Mm,
And if you're really determined to have more awareness around the breath, do 5 minutes in the afternoon and 5 minutes before you go to bed. You can do different techniques for that. And
mhm,
what helped me a lot when I was in my yoga training as a yoga teacher, the the person who actually was guiding us through the breathing section of that training, he said that he lived in a place, it's also ashram, a spiritual place where people gather. And he lived in that place, and every hour there was a some sort of a gong or some sort of a bell sound. And then everybody was supposed to stop with what they were doing, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and just be very conscious, aware of the breath.
mm,
And so
yeah,
I tried to copy that experiment, and I put my timer. My gosh, it was a horrible. I still remember it to this day. It's a long time ago, but I put
mhm,
my alarm that it would go off every hour, and then
mhm,
I had to check my breath. That was my intention, or was my intention at that time. And then every time that it went off, there was something. I was sending an email. I was looking for my
you were
keys because I
busy.
had to go to the hairdresser. And I remember thinking, I don't have time to breathe. And then I was thinking, that's absurd. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
but it really helps to create awareness, because by
Mhm,
doing that, I realized that I was holding my breath when I was trying to park my car. I was holding my breath because I was thinking that when I held my breath, it would be easier for me to go into that small parking spot. And
mm,
when I was like sitting in front of my computer, they call it email apnea. So you stop breathing because you're so focused on what you're doing. And so
yeah,
obviously that's not good for our brain. We lose focus, concentration, we become
exactly.
fatigued, all
Yeah,
because of our breathing and not being conscious
mm,
of how we are breathing.
yeah,
What also,
absolutely. So you and what you do is you have the other way around effect. Instead of what you're trying to do, you get less focused, you get stressed, you have tension because
yes,
you do this breathing wrong.
yes. And for example, when you're in a meeting, the person with the slowest breath rate wins. So there
Mhm,
is some sort of a presence, some sort of a calmness, some sort of, yeah, it's just more commanding when you breathe long, slow, and
mhm,
deep. And
yeah,
so only by monitoring how am I breathing right now, can I change it? It could
mhm,
change the way how people are responding to you, like you said in the
mhm,
beginning. It has a big impact on your communication with people,
absolutely.
like
Mhm,
this
yeah.
uh, unconscious communication.
Yeah, you cannot be present if you
Mm-mm.
are not breathing properly. It is
No,
impossible to be consciously in an interaction or in a moment or be mindful when you are in this surface breathing and this short breathing. Absolutely. So it is not only because it is healthy or it is productive or is efficient and effective. It is also creating different relationships. It is important to have impact on
definitely.
your life and on other people. And if you are breathing, like you say, slowly and in a present state with your children, with your team, with everybody that you are interacting in a meeting or in whatever other interaction, you are basically impacting the energy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
because it is a mirror effect, people follow there. Because when somebody comes in very nervous, we also have to be aware that we don't take over that energy, that we stay present, that we stay calm. So it's a very important thing to be aware of and to manage, to control.
yes, absolutely. Even when you're on a date, when you breathe long, slow, and deep, the person will perceive you as more attractive. It's
Mhm.
very interesting what the breath can do. And children, for
Yeah.
example, they copy the
Mhm.
breathing of the
Mm.
parent. So when
Yes.
you, as a parent, breathe like in a calm way, the children automatically will become calm. And what I find also very interesting is that people gravitate towards people who are breathing in the same way as other people. So it can
Yeah.
repel or it can attract. It depends on
Mm,
what you're looking for. And yeah, I find it super fascinating. Super fascinating.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what practice can we start with just to have a first exercise here during this
Oh, yeah.
session?
Yeah, it is actually an assessment. So it will
Oh,
help you to get a feel of how you're breathing. And so this first one that I have is just to see where you're breathing. So I already disclosed a little bit like how you should do it, but just breathe like you normally breathe. So you can put one hand on your chest and you
mhm.
could put one hand on your belly and then close your eyes and just breathe a few times like you normally breathe. And while doing that, observe. Where are you breathing? Which hand is moving the most? Is it the hand on your chest or is it the hand on your belly? You just breathe a few times. And also, something extra to observe is when you breathe in, is your belly moving forwards or is your belly moving backwards? So these are the two things that you may observe right now. So let's take a long breath in last time and breathe out.
Goedele, what
Yes.
if people now discover that when they breathe in, their belly goes backwards? How can
Yes.
you help them in the moment to do
Ye-
differently? Because it must be like, okay, I'm doing it wrong. So now what?
it's paradoxical breathing. And it's actually as a result of trauma in the past that you reverse it. So so the normal way of breathing is when you inhale, belly moves forward, exhale, belly moves backwards. So what you can do is actually consciously start breathing and feeling what your body is doing, and then consciously doing the opposite thing. So you first, this is like very good if you discover that right now, because now you're aware of it and then you can change it. You cannot change it if you're not aware of it. So what you do is you first breathe a few times like you usually breathe, and then you start changing it and you put your hand on your belly. You can put the other hand on the chest, but basically, what you want is when you inhale, you visualize there is a balloon at the height of your stomach and like your belly. And when you inhale, you imagine you're inhaling through your navel. So all the awareness, all the visualization is actually in the lower part of the body.
Mm,
And when you inhale, you see this balloon coming bigger. So your belly moves forward. On the exhale, you just imagine this balloon is deflating and then your belly moves towards your spine. You'll have to do it very slowly in the beginning. And because you have to reprogram, it's a habit, like a habit. And you probably will go back to the old ways when you don't do this regularly. So in the evening, for example, when you're in your bed, you can put your hands on your belly for 3 minutes, inhale and push your hands up, exhale. You feel how your navel moves towards the spine. So you do
mm,
that a few times and for 3 minutes. And then you do that every day and it needs to be a focus point, because if
mm,
not, you will go back to the old ways. The problem with
mm,
paradoxical breathing is it has a big influence on how you perform. When you are a paradoxical breather, you're like more disorganized. And you can also feel, because you're not breathing in flow like you should breathe, that things feel like very that you have to go against the flow, basically, that things are difficult and you have to push. And when you start breathing properly, you're in the flow and things move better for you, easier, with ease and grace. So it has a big impact. So if anyone discovered that, congratulations. There is a way out, but you have to focus, definitely.
beautiful. For those of you that are just tuning in, we are talking about properly breathing. So, Hudla, our specialist on breathwork, transformational and general breathwork, is giving us some practical exercises and assessments and tips in order to implement the proper breathing in our daily life because it has so much impact in general. So thank you for that one. And
Yeah.
also for comforting the people who are doing this paradoxal breathing, because I can only imagine it must be very confrontational
Yeah.
to become aware of that. But as with many things, we can create different routines, we can create different practices in order to reverse this. So thank you for that. Beautiful.
Yeah. This is the most important thing. You can always change it.
Mm.
It's just a habit. Just a
Yeah.
habit.
Okay. So we have the proper breathing, meaning breathing into the belly and into the lungs. There's also the frequency of breathing because it's not only the shallow breathing, it's also people breathing too fast.
Yes.
What
Yes,
is the impact
absolutely.
of that?
Yes. The impact of breathing too fast is that you actually exhale a lot of CO2. And we sometimes think, oh, that's good because CO2 is a waste gas. But actually, when we have a lot of CO2 in the body, what happens is that your red blood cells are dropping more oxygen in the organs, in the cells in the body. So, what happens is you get a better oxygenated body and a healthier body. So, when you breathe long, slow, and deep, then there is more CO2 in the body. That's why it's also so good to practice breath holding because you become more CO2 resistant. And it really tells a lot about how healthy you are. The health of your breathing tells a lot. It's a reflection of your general health,
Hmm.
basically. So you can change
Yeah.
a lot by changing your breath. So that's
Mm.
why, and a lot of people, when they breathe in, they have like very long, just longer inhales and shorter exhales. It's a little bit like we're afraid to let go. So we
Yeah.
And when we do that, we activate, by the inhale, we activate the sympathetic nervous system. I already said that. By prolonging your exhale, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which means that you're calming yourself down. And this is why it can feel so good to just breathe in. And it feels so good
This
because,
sigh of relief. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yes.
So for those among us who are not familiar with this terminology of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, can you explain that a little bit more, please, Goedele?
Yeah, sure. So we have the autonomic nervous system, and this overviews or controls all the involuntary systems in the body, like your heart rate, like your digestion, all these kind of things. And when you are in sympathetic mode, it's a fight or flight mode. Everything it's like in the old times when you were chased by a lion
Hmm.
or
A
yeah,
monster, a grizzly
a
bear, or
monster.
whatever. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you go in fight or flight and your heart rate goes up and your eyes become like more dilated. You can see better, you can hear better.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of stuff that happens in the body to actually keep,
Activation of your body. Yeah. To
yeah, to
fight or
keep
to
you
run.
safe,
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
you safe, to
Mm.
escape. And then, okay. And the
Yeah.
parasympathetic nervous system, it's everything to do with down regulating. It's the rest and digest mechanism in the body. It's to, yeah, to be able to procreate, for example, all these things. Like it is very important to balance it out. It's good to be in sympathetic mode sometimes
Mm.
because when we have to do a presentation or we have to run for a plane or a train or a bus or a taxi or whatever, it's good to activate
Mm.
ourselves. Sympathetic, obviously, is also good. You need to have a balance between the two.
Exactly. Mm.
And so often we are most of the times in the sympathetic nervous system mode. And then the body cannot renew itself, cannot regenerate itself. So it's very important to also do that down regulating work. And the breath is actually, yeah, they call it the remote control of the nervous system. And so you can basically take control of these functions of your heart rate, of your digestion, of your sleep quality, all these kind of things you can do through the breath, which
Mm.
makes
It's
it very
amazing.
interesting because it just helps us to take control not only over the functions in the body, but also over our emotional state. You
Mhm.
can become more calm. You can energize yourself. You can balance yourself. And on the work floor, in a high pressure environment, it's so important when we talked about that already. So important to be able to just control your own energy so that you
Hmm.
can co-regulate with other people and help them to feel also better in your presence and not
It's a
more stressed
leadership
because
skill.
you're stressed.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what can we do there? Do you have a practice that we
Oh
can
yeah. So we
implement for
what
that?
we can do is we can adjust the time, how many times that we're breathing a minute. So I can do it for 15 seconds and then you have to
Hmm.
multiply it by 4 and then your breath rate per minute and then I will tell you what is normal and yeah. I would
And
not
how we
say
can
normal.
improve it. Yeah.
Just see
Yeah.
where you are,
Mm,
right? Yeah. Just see where you are. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
You so what you do is you inhale and you exhale, and that's 1. Inhale, exhale, 2. Inhale, exhale, 3. Okay. And then you just count, and I will say stop after 15 seconds. So you can close your eyes if that helps you to be more focused or not, whatever you like. And then I will say start. So we breathe out. Let's breathe in. Let's breathe out together and start. And stop. Okay. So you
Was
can 15 seconds. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
now you can multiply it by 4, your breath rate per minute. And I
Hmm.
will tell you. So basically, you would like to be in between 12 and 15 breaths per minute, 15, 16 breaths per minute. Everything more than 16 breaths per minute is fast. It tells you're more in the sympathetic state. And between 8 and 12 is like something good to go to train yourself to become
Hmm.
8 and 12. When you do breathing exercises, meditation, and all these things, you can slow down your breath to 1 breath a minute, even if you are well trained. So, what was
Hmm.
yours, Helena?
I was at 2.5 in the
Oh,
15 seconds. So that's 10. Yeah.
that's good.
But I am a slow breather. I know that.
That's good.
When I compare my partner breathes at least twice as fast as
Wow.
I do. And
Wow.
even at night, you can hear that he's also snoring. Okay, I'm disclosing a lot of information here, but I don't know if there's a causal element there. But I know that I'm
Yes.
breathing very slowly. When in my normal state, I can be nervous or like everybody else, and I guess then I'm breathing faster. But this is one of the things I have practiced for years. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Snoring. We laugh with snoring, right? Oh, when somebody's
No.
snoring. But it's, well, not when you're sleeping next to somebody who snores, but it is
Mm.
actually very unhealthy to snore. And it shows this chronic overbreathing during the day. People who snore often during the day, they don't breathe in a proper way. They probably breathe too fast, too superficial, probably mouth breathers too. And when you have a lot of congestion going on or asthma or these kind of things, it contributes all to snoring. And so what I recommend is when you have a loved one who snores or you snore yourself, to actually tape your mouth. You can go to
Mm.
the pharmacist and they have these special tapes and you tape your mouth closed so you're not breathing through the mouth anymore and it can shift that. It can shift it and it's so important because when we're breathing through the mouth it can not only aggravate the stress response in the body but also it has an impact on your heart health. It has an impact on your health in general. It is really important that you find a solution for it. And mouth tape, I never used it,
Yeah.
but mouth
Mhm.
tape,
It's the
helps.
easiest ones and the most accessible one. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
So now what? Now we know how fast or slow that we are breathing. What if we say, okay, this is too fast? We are activating this sympathetic
Yes.
system all the time. How
Mhm.
can somebody learn to breathe slower?
Yeah.
What's your
So
tip? What's your advice?
first, I would recommend, like what I said before, is that you start doing exercises for that, like in the morning and or in the afternoon and or in the evening to create a greater breath awareness. And when you want to slow down your breathing, for example, you could do exercises where you prolong the exhale. And there are actually three types of exercises. This is maybe interesting. You have the whiskey, the water, and the coffee breathing exercises. I
Mhm.
actually say the ginger, the herbal tea, and the water exercises instead of, but the whiskey and the coffee, it tells a little bit maybe better what these exercises do. But for example, slowing down the breath could be done by prolonging the exhale, as I said. And there is this herbal tea, whiskey breathing technique, which is called the 4-7-8 technique, where you breathe in for, you hold your breath for 7 and you breathe out in 8. And this way you slow down your breath a lot already. And it will help you to actually access that parasympathetic nervous system state. So it really
Mhm.
helps to slow down, to calm down. So that could help for somebody who needs to practice still, because it is a long exhale. What I have a breath challenge, a 21-day breath challenge, breathing challenge, where I have 21 different exercises where people can actually go through all those kind of exercises and train themselves. And there's this one exercise I find very interesting where you breathe in through the nose and then you have a straw and you breathe out through the straw. And so because you breathe out through the straw, you tend to be able to focus more on the exhale because you really want to hear that sound of your breath through the straw, and you make it really long. And this is very calming, and obviously it slows down your breath rate
Mm.
too a lot. And
Yep.
so the only thing you have to be careful with is after a while the straw starts dripping. So you need a little paper
Yeah.
tissue to, yeah, to resolve that. But it's a very good one if the 4-7-8 is a little bit difficult,
Mm.
because it asks already a lot of breath control. Or you could do the, like
That
with
was the
a,
herbal tea one. Yeah.
yeah, the herbal tea, the chamomile tea one. So you can also do in 2, out in 4, in 3, out in 6, in 1, out in
Yeah.
2. So you can do
Mhm.
that too with this
Yeah.
rate 1-2 rate.
Yeah.
You can do that ratio. You can do that too.
That's interesting. And it is also more accessible. I would say, because what I always advise the women I work with in my coaching practice, if they have a very important conversation or an important meeting or whatever, they feel nervous and stressed about it, is go to the balcony or go to the restroom and do some breath work to calm down. And
Absolutely.
then probably this 2-4 or 3-6 or 4-8, depending on where you are, is an easier one if you don't really have the time to remember the specific sequences. But I think every time that you are aware of a stressful situation and you want to show up in a different way, these are amazing exercises to,
Yeah.
to calm your body and bring
Yeah.
harmony and balance again.
Yeah. I would say in a very stressful situation, just breathe in and sigh out. Breathe
Yeah.
in and sigh out and do that 3
Hmm.
times, and you will feel a lot of pressure is off.
Yeah.
And if you want to focus, you can do a faster, like the one that we were talking about, the 10, 20, 30 method. You could do we will do that in a minute. But that's like a method that helps you, even if you do only for 10 seconds, that can help to bring you in a very activated, focused, concentrated
Yeah.
state.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we
Beautiful.
should do that one.
Yes. So that's basically the other way around. If you want to be activated, if you feel like, so I had 3 meetings already, I have to go to a fourth one. I'm like in an energy dip. I need to be more activated. Then you can do this, what we are going to do now. Right?
Yeah, and it helps when you're somebody who quickly goes for coffee and then feels bad about that later on in the day because you were telling yourself that you would not do so much coffee, then this can really help you too. And it also, what it does, it helps to calm down the mind when you have a
Mhm.
very overactive mind. So, for
Mhm.
example, when you're confronted with a problem, or you see something as a problem and you want to have a way of approaching it, or maybe feeling that it's not such a big of a problem, then you can do this breathing exercise too. So
Mm.
we can do it. I will explain
Yeah.
it first.
Let's do this. Mhm.
Yes, I will explain it first. So it's called the 10, 20, 30 method. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in and out. We're going to breathe in and out through the mouth. So I said before that breathing through the mouth is not good in general, but you can do it very focused to really activate your system in a quick way. So we're going to do that. And so we're breathing in 10 times, breathing in and out 10 times. And the 10th time, you're going to breathe out as much as you can. And then we hold the breath out for 10 seconds. Then we're going to do the same thing, but 20. So we're breathing in and out 20 times. And then the 20th breath, breathe out, hold out for 20 seconds, and then for 30 seconds. So we
Oh,
do 30
okay.
breaths, 30 seconds, and then just experience what it does for you. It's interesting.
Mm.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay. So let's try this. So you can close your eyes if you want to, if you feel comfortable. And we will start. And I will breathe in and then out, and I will say one. And you, when I say one, you breathe out. Okay. If not, I cannot really keep counting. Breathing and counting at the same time. Okay. Okay. There we go. We start now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you breathe out and you hold your breath out 10 seconds. Hold it out, relax, and just feel. Feel your state. And we're going for the second round. Okay, we do it 20 times now. So you breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Breathe out and hold your breath out 20 seconds. Just go in silence. Feel if you can feel your heart rate. You can feel the energy just circulating through your body. Just relax your shoulders, your face, whole body. And you can breathe in again. We're going for the 30 now. Okay, this is the last one. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Breathe out and hold your breath out 30 seconds. Relax your shoulders. Relax your face and go deep, deep inside. Just feel this stillness inside of you. 15 seconds more. Hold your breath out. Hold it out. Becoming really still. And you can breathe in again if you want. And breathe out with a sigh.
Hmm.
So, how was that for you?
It's amazing. It's amazing how something so simple and so accessible and
Mm,
so forgotten or not aware of has such an impact.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you
And,
for that.
and transformational breathwork is this, but then multiplied by 3.
Yeah. At least, yes, absolutely. You go a lot deeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is something that everybody can do. It is about commitment and it is about setting intentions to create that awareness and to embody that because it is my experience that the more you practice that, the more you embody it and you make it like, I cannot say routine, but something that you do unconsciously. And then every time that you do something important where you need your focus, your attention, you do specific exercises. But I really like these tips, like in the morning, during the day, and in the evening. Just breathe consciously. Make sure that you breathe properly in the belly as well as in the lungs and slow down and just activate this knowledge that we all have, but that we have forgotten because
Yeah,
we are living
absolutely.
in this
Mhm.
stressful, triggered society that basically takes us away from something that is very natural. Because, like you
Yeah.
say, we do it as babies. So
Hmm.
we are born with it. We learn differently or we
Yeah.
unlearn how it is supposed to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Learning how to breathe properly and work with your breath, it's really taking back your power, but a power that's inside of us. And we take so many things from the outside. We drink coffee to have more energy. We take tranquilizers to become more calm. We take ayahuasca plant medicine to go into these altered states of consciousness while you can do all that and more with the breath.
Yeah.
It's
Amen.
it's it's and what I recommend people also is just to come back on what you were saying before. When you feel emotional, angry, frustrated,
Mhm.
irritated, sad, anxious, just have the awareness to go to your breath
Mhm.
and observe, how am I breathing right now? How can I correct this so that I can change the way how I feel in this very moment instantly with something that
Mhm.
we don't have to pay for. We always have it with us, and everybody is breathing anyway, because if not, you would not be here.
Exactly. And especially if you are interacting in your personal life, in your professional life, in meetings, if you feel that you get stressed, if you feel that you get irritated or
Yes.
frustrated because what is going on in the meeting, just sitting there with that feeling doesn't really change a lot, doesn't really impact a lot. So if you then start breathing and not the way we just did now, it doesn't have to be something obviously. Although if it's too much, you can leave the room and say, okay, we do a bio break or whatever. But or you get up and you say anybody wants to drink something or something. And in the meantime, you just have a different posture, you stretch your body and you do some breathing. And the impact is like immediately. You
Yes.
change the energy not only in your body, but you also change the energy in the room. And
Yes.
I am like next week, I am doing this week, end of this week, I'm doing a workshop on conversational intelligence on how to impact a meeting, for example, in a professional setting and have people in a co creating mindset. And your own breath can do a lot there in terms of how you impact and influence the energy in the room. And I think
Yes.
that is something that we are not aware of.
Yeah.
And like you say, it is a replacement for caffeine. It is a replacement for tranquilizers. It is so powerful and
Yes.
so underused and utilized. I think with this session, we create some more awareness. So really thank you for the work you're doing and for being here in this session. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will make sure that people find the links to other things that you offer that go more deeply and offer even more restoration or impactful power so they can go deeper if they want to. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a 21-day breath challenge. It's in Dutch at the moment. I'm translating. So that's something. I have also a high energy breathing challenge. And this is really to activate yourself in the morning, but also train yourself on holding your breath longer, which is really healthy for all kind of reasons. It's so good for performance, so good for endurance. So it trains you in that. And then I have the transformational breathwork sessions every month, one in Dutch, one in English. And then from the end of March, I'll start doing transformational breathwork around different themes. It will be like, for example, abundance is a theme, also
Mhm.
confidence, and it will really help you to shift limiting beliefs and to show up in a different way. I actually experienced that myself
Yeah.
in how I am looking at the world, how I am perceiving certain situations differently because I became different on such a deep level through this breath work. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm so passionate about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And me, as somebody who has experienced what you do, and I have experienced transformational breathwork in general, it is so powerful and so impactful in one session. How you, like you say, or
Yeah.
how you are um, feeling lighter, but
Yeah.
also how you are activating and unlocking powers and energies. And
Mhm.
I really feel, because I have done one recently, I told you that I really felt like I started doing things that I was holding back from
Yes.
for many weeks or months. And it was like,
Mhm.
okay, everything is in flow. So it is
Yes.
amazing what this breathwork can do.
Yeah.
If you compare it with psychoanalysis or whatever, and this is not a strategy that doesn't work, or there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Mm-mm.
just, it is so impactful in such a
Yeah.
short time that
Yes.
I cannot say anything else than
Mhm.
try it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
What I find so interesting is that when you are going into psychotherapy, you start all starts in the head, right? And then it needs to go into the heart. You need to feel it and you need to work with what's underneath all these limiting beliefs that you have or the trauma that you have. So you actually go from the top and then you go down. But when you work with the body, when you use the breath and the body in a combination to actually bring all those things from the bottom up, there's not a single word that needs to be said.
Mhm.
Everything is just worked with without saying a word. I'm talking through the session. That's what transformational breath work. It's different from holotropic breathing, from rebirthing breathing, from the Wim Hof breathing, because I am guiding the participants in my session through on a journey. Really, it's a journey into the subconscious, and obviously you work with whatever is there for you to work with, but I am guiding and I'm bringing things up. I'm bringing you to those areas where you might need some healing.
Mhm.
And when you are ready to heal, in that particular area, things will come up and you will be able to shift them, to
Yeah.
transform them. And I find that, yeah, really beautiful that I have no issues whatsoever with psychotherapy, with talk therapy. It has its place. But
Mm.
in 1 hour of breath work, you can go through so much. It's like a fast track to healing.
Yeah. It
And you really, really trust in the wisdom, intuitive wisdom of the body, because the
Yeah.
body knows. Some people are scared to go into this transformational breath work. People think, oh my gosh, I will need to breathe fast for 45, for an hour, for longer. I'm not capable of doing that. But in the transformational breathwork journeys that I guide, you decide. You are really steering your ship. you decide how fast you're breathing. The only thing that I'm asking is that you breathe deeply, because then you go deeper into the experience. But you can breathe very slowly and it will still have an effect. If you
Mhm.
feel breathing through the mouth is like too activating, you can breathe through the nose. There are a lot of ways how to modulate your experience
Yeah.
depending on what you're ready for. And some people take mushrooms or whatever, ayahuasca, these plant medicines. But once you took it, yeah, you cannot step out of it.
And do
But
it. Yes, exactly. You
yeah,
have
you
to
have to
go
go
through
through
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
with the breath, you just allow whatever you need, what you want to go through at that
Yeah.
moment, and you can just control it yourself how
Yeah.
deep you go. This being said, it's important to remember that growth always comes when you're out of your comfort zone. So when you stay in your comfort zone, you will not grow. So
It's not
it's
where the magic is happening.
no, it's just important that to yeah to sometimes just push yourself a little bit and then see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked what you say. The body knows the wisdom is in the body, and also trauma is in the body. And if you can activate everything through your breath, like you said, we are activating ourselves through deep breathing.
Mm.
It is obvious things are happening there. And
Yeah.
I like this metaphor with the bubbles. If you
Mm.
just stick it, all the bubbles come to the surface and they dissolve. And basically, this is what these sessions are doing.
Uh,
I would invite everybody who is listening here, check the comments and see how you can access these practices. Also, if you have any questions or feedback or want to share with us how you felt about the practices that we introduced here or that Goedele introduced here, also put it in the comments. We will monitor it. We will not deal with them right now, but we will monitor all the comments and get back to you with whatever you need at that moment. Even if you're watching a replay here, which will be available forever, you can put things in the comments and we will informed about that and we will get back to you. And if you are not first line connections yet, I invite you also to connect with us, connect with Goedele, connect with me, so we can keep you also informed about the events that we are organizing. A lot of them are free because we really want to introduce practices that help you to improve your life, to improve your lifestyle, to become more effective in whatever you want to achieve in your life. And this breathwork is so accessible that it has to be one of the most important things to do. Yeah. I'm
absolutely.
mindful of the time, Goedele. We still have some time. So, what else would you like to share with us in the next
Yeah.
five
Well,
minutes or so?
yeah, there was something when you were talking about this workshop that you have. It's on Friday, right? That you have it
Yes.
next Friday. And you were talking about being in a meeting and just how you can actually change the energy in yourself, but also in the room where you are with people who might be very stressed or agitated or whatever. A breathing technique that nobody will ever know that you're doing it, but it might have a big impact on the energy in the room is heart coherence. It's a resonance breathing. It's actually you breathe in 5.5 seconds and you breathe out in 5.5 seconds, but actually 5 in, 5 out is okay. And what happens is you balance the electromagnetic field of the heart with the brain. So you create harmony. And it's really good when you feel anxious, agitated, even depressed. It helps to harmonize heart and brain. And often we're
Mm.
so much in the brain and it's sometimes difficult to feel what's happening in the heart. And then you balance those. So breathe in 5, breathe out in 5, and then you can count and just feel what happens. I find it a very powerful technique to do.
I like that. And I like what you say, this resonance and this connection between the head and the heart, because in a lot of conversations, in a lot of meetings, but conversations in general, we
Mhm.
are there with our heads
Yes.
and we are there to make a point and we are there to be right. Sometimes we're addicted to be right. And we
Yes.
want other people, we want to convince other people, we want to be there with the facts and the proofs and things like that. And you can already feel just the way I'm talking about that, how the actually doesn't work. Because when you want people to commit and to join, as especially as a leader or as a parent or whatever, people decide and choose with their hearts, not with their
Yes.
mind. So if you can make that connection for yourself, I love that. If you can make that connection for yourself, you also will be able to make that connection with other people. And especially if it is important that people commit, because you need them to come out of their comfort zone. You need them to go the extra mile in a meeting because there's an important or difficult project that has a deadline or that has some hurdles. If you can do that, so the 5.5 in and 5.5 out, and restore this balance internally, you probably will also restore the balance in the room and have people choosing for you and choosing with their heart instead of going against you, being in resistance because they don't understand or they feel uncomfortable or they do not want to go out of their comfort zone. I like that one.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
helps also with children or with a partner who's upset in
Yeah.
any kind of situation where you feel there is a
Yeah.
disbalance in the energy. You can balance you, and then that radiates out to
Yeah.
everybody in the field.
Imagine how much power we have
Oh yeah.
and power in the good way, how many things that we can impact just by breathing. Isn't
Oh,
that amazing? Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, Hudla, I know this is only like a fraction of what you know, of what you teach, of what you can bring. But still, I hope that this has opened the eyes and maybe opened the lungs and the bellies of the people listening in. As I said, the replay is available forever, so you can always come back here and you know where to find us. We are on LinkedIn. We will put some links in the comments. If you have questions or feedback, let us know how you felt about this session also in the comments section. It's always very nice to have some reciprocity and know how we are doing. So feel free to leave something in the comments section. Connect with us and breathe. Thank you so much for listening in, for spending this hour with us, because I know this is an investment. And I promise you, if you follow Goedele's advice and guidelines and practices, you will get so much out of this investment you have no idea where you will end. All the best for everybody. And thank you so much for bringing us this refreshment in
I
life.
would end
Thank
with
you.
a long deep breath in and a sigh out and then just go. What do you think about
Mm,
that?
I'm already doing it.
Let's breathe in through the nose
Yeah.
and out through the mouth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Hilde.
much. Thank you, everybody. And we see each other soon. Bye bye.
Bye.